All right, you have reached the last part of the mental wealth framework, legacy. And you've done a lot of work to get to this part, especially the deep dive of going in with thinking about where you've been, all the experiences, challenging and great moments. You've looked at the ecosystem of your life and you've done what we love to watch being done to the natural part of this world with all the other animals. Now you've done it for yourself, and now looking at things, you've learned to nurture the nature of your life and looking at your ideal life, not perfect, your ideal life, and looking at the people, the right people to help you get to your ideal life, and then how to make adjustments and now realizing the last piece and tying this all together is looking at legacy. And with your legacy, we're going to talk about refining your legacy specifically because you already have a legacy. Like right now, every single one of us, you watching this, going through this training, we all have left a legacy from this point on what we've done on our life up to this point. And so the reflection here is, who was one of your heroes when you were a kid? And heroes, or you want to use, people you look up to, whatever, whoever, I guess would be a better term. You can type it in the chat or comments if you want, but more importantly, make sure you answer this. Because that person, like they're part of, you're a part of the impact of their legacy, if that makes sense. And then the practice we're going to go through is the legacy storylines in motion. Because as you continue to live, your legacy is constantly evolving. And whether it's good or bad, that's up to the interaction with the world to decide. But understanding that your legacy is in constant motion. So let's take a step back. let's get grounded in making sure that you're in a space that's comfortable for you. So now we've thought about the past, we're working on the present, and the legacy is more kind of present meets future. And so I want to make sure that you're really grounded in this. And again, your presence is the present, and I hope that becomes something that you just like a jingle that you can't forget, or a commercial jingle that you can't forget. Is your presence is the present. And so remembering that there is help if anything happens and coming up, realizing that there's phenomenal services that are available to you if you're going through a moment of crisis, or if you're just you feel like you're on the verge of that. So our flow today, refining your legacy, the stories of your legacy, and stories are, they're in motion. So let's think about this last section. And what are your words? Are you amazed? Are you excited? You're feeling playful because of all the activities. You're feeling, thankful because you're remembering things that will like fill your heart with so much like joy and love. Or you're feeling mad or frustrated. Oftentimes the ideal life exercise has people kind of frustrated because you're like, I've never had a chance to think about this. And thinking about it, it's not something that your ideal life, it's not something we're taught and it doesn't come natural. And so, but it's important because no one in the past, the present, or the future has your exact ideal life. And so it's okay to be frustrated. You can be happy and frustrated, happily frustrated. So pick your words, share them in the comments if you want, but definitely make sure you journal them down or put them down in your notes. And I'm going to be quiet, or actually go ahead and pause, and then we'll go to the next section. Okay, welcome back. Hope you found your words. And then so now we're looking at legacy and refining your legacy. And as you see, the refining your legacy, without the other pieces, without minding your matters and being the ecologist and nurturing the nature and attracting the right team and making adjustments, your legacy, if you don't do those parts, your legacy is there's no intention to it. It is just the results of you kind of meandering through your life, right? And so when you think about in terms of building mental wealth and living through uncertain times, like there is an intention about all of this and being intentional about working through the framework and the practices, but also the mental wealth deposit. So the smaller pieces of this, because this training is more kind of those larger chunks, like you won the lottery or you got a big bonus from work. That's like these larger chunks that come in, but it's these smaller things you do all along the way that help with the compounding effect of building mental wealth that allows you to move through challenging times with more intention and understanding and confidence and agency, and then also moving through the great times and not getting too high in the high, right, of great times while you're enjoying them at the same time. So refining your legacy. Two people that have left a legacy on this world, Dr. Maya Angelou and Oprah Winfrey. And this gift is from an interview. And in the interview, it was very poignant. Like Oprah quotes, or Dr. Maya Angelou says something, and then Oprah quotes this about legacy. And the key part of this is you have no idea what your legacy will be, right? However, like you can have some intention about how you live your life to guide the direction of your legacy. And in doing that, understanding that the legacy that you're going after, that you're intentionally moving toward, there's a part of it, how people respond to you and that piece, that's definitely a large part of your legacy. But also like how you live your life, right? Just living your life, the example, the way you do it. Like Dr. Maya Angelou, like look at the span of her life, everything that she did, beyond the books and the quotes and the memes that you see, there's so much more depth to the way she lived her life. And like there's an example of a comedian going to her home when she was welcoming people in. This is Dr. Maya Angelou, and the comedian said a slang curse word, and she immediately stopped him, like, no, we don't say that stuff in our house, like in my house. But like you think of like, so your legacy is like, that's how she lived. The same can be true for you. You don't have to be a global icon like Oprah Winfrey or Dr. Maya Angelou. That's not the point. The point is you have a legacy. And so when you're thinking about refining it, as I talked about, everything today, up to this moment in time, this very second, your life has taken a path, and you kind of charted some of that in detail during your life map. And now from this moment in the future, I can't remember the artist that did this, but I saw it shared on social media and I love it. And I think the artist is kind of in there. But when you think about, there's infinite possibilities about how you can intentionally live your life that create your legacy. And as each day flows, like it becomes less infinite. And when you look back, it becomes more of the green line, like your life becomes part of your life path. And so when you're thinking about your legacy, realize like you have the opportunity to reframe it and refine it. So thinking of the story of your current legacy, like as of today, this first practice is, what does it look like? And this is something like a year from now, you can re-engage this piece, like even just coming straight to this one going, okay, in the last year, what does my legacy look like? Is it what you want? Is it something that you can change? Are there parts you can change? Is it aligned with your ideal life? Like really start reflecting on that. And when I think about mine up to this point, like these two examples, yeah, I've helped over 100 entrepreneurs improve their mental wealth. And then by the feedback that I've gotten from some folks or by audiences and clients is that I've helped people connect with themselves on an kind of an authentic way with their ideal lives, and in a way that they haven't often thought about it. These are very grand, but it also could be my legacy is amplifying other people's stuff. Like I love like retweeting things on Twitter, even though Twitter's kind of a hot mess right now, but in 2022. But on Twitter, on social media, I find great joy in amplifying the wins and successes of other people. So really, like, what is your current legacy? And so the next thing you'll do is, and so what is it current? And then um, now trying to think of like the story arc of your, where do you want your legacy to go? And I just 2 days ago I watched the Black Panther movie, the sequel, so Black Panther 2, and what I found was fascinating was the depth of the storylines. And so when you think of like legacy, like it's just a bunch of storylines, like it's a one long movie, right? So but before the movie there was the script, and before this, like the final script, there were rewrites, and there were probably rewrites during the making of the movie. So when you think of your legacy, what's a storyline that you, what are 3 or 4 storylines that you could start to write? And so one of mine is this example. And so I think, so SBIR, it's a grant from the federal government for small businesses. And part of my one of the storylines of my legacy is my company pursued this grant, got this grant. We created it. We allowed us to do research and find creative solutions, tech and non-tech. And then also there were companies that used our research to create businesses, and created more research. And then they've hired over like 3,000 new employees. And those numbers can change, but it's still like, this is like one of the storylines, and this is the business storyline, but there can also just be personal storylines for my legacy. But you're writing them as if writing the story as if you're going to make a movie, the movie of your life, the biography, the autobiography, if you will. And then the third is like, so now you have your story. After you have your story, you can pause in between these to kind of get this, but after you have your storylines, and your kind of short stories, if you will, you start to uncover, much like we did in some of the other places. So we've gone from broad to specific, like what's something you can do in the next week to start to make your the headline, the storyline, the arc of the story. I can't find my literary and movie terms, but to start to make this story come true, whether it's the team or whether it's the funding that you need or the raise that you need to ask for, or the time and space that you need to like talk to your partners to say, hey, this is what I want to be. I need time to fill my own cup in the morning. So things have to change a little bit. And so here's a great example. So in order for me to have this legacy of that storyline that includes the SBIR grant, I have to go sign up for training to make sure I understand how to do the grant application properly. And so again, this is kind of tied to business, but the same kind of practice applies, right? If if intentional legacy looks like this, so SBIR, then I need to take an intentional action, and all of this is aligned with my ideal life. Like this business goal is something that's I have to have a business headquarters. Like I don't have to, physically I can have a co-working space or whatever the address needs to be. The business is a US based, registered business, but having it registered in the US and, functioning out of the US allows me to go for this grant. And then, which is aligned with me being able to have a team and research done in the US, but also have a team, throughout the world. But all of this is like helping with mental wealth and mental health, and is aligned with my ideal life. This isn't the legacy that I see somebody else doing and I want to like live their exact life, or I want to get all their credits. This is your legacy. Again, coming back to, in order to build mental wealth, you have to be focused on you and what you want. And then to go through uncertain times, it's also being grounded on making decisions when a lot of folks are like clamoring to do things that are fear-based. You're making alignment-based decisions that continue to help you build mental wealth. And so just to recap everything, is we've gone through this whole framework, and you can go through, like, once you've gone through, we've gone through it in a short amount of time with this training, but ultimately you could take the next week and break this up and go week one, I'm going to do mental. Week two, I'm going to do ecosystem, and for the next 6 weeks. Or you can take the next 6 months. But at first, what I want you to do with this training, and the reason why it's really kind of self-paced, is go through and understand what the practices are and the examples of building mental wealth and examples of mental wealth deposits, and what does this feel like what comes up, so you'll be prepared for it. Using tools like the feelings wheel, and making that like an everyday ritual, beginning of the day, middle of the day, end of the day, or at least beginning of your day and end of your day, checking in your feelings wheel. And then understanding your legacy. Like, every day that we have the gift of being awake and interacting and doing things in the world, our legacy is refined. So how are we doing that? And then continue to make adjustments as we go back and forth, back and forth. And so that is the end of the mental wealth framework. There's a couple more sections that are part of this training, kind of the wrap up, but then there's also a couple bonuses that I think you will find very helpful. And so that's it. Thank you again for making time for yourself and investing in yourself. And I say investing, not just the financial piece, but the time and the mental and emotional and all of that. And you can find me and contact me in here. If you send me an email, you get an autoresponder, which is one of my mental wealth deposits. Twitter and LinkedIn, definitely. And then check out my link, the link tree. The current has other links to booking me as a speaker, hire me as from a private client standpoint. And I just want you to continue to invest in yourself. And as the title of the slide says, the end is a beginning. Every end is beginning, right? Just like I'm a marathon runner, so every finish line is just the beginning of another training for another starting line. So thank you so much, and finish out the rest of this, and